All right, so now we're going to talk about the plumbing. The plumbing is pretty self-explanatory. You have an inlet on the outside and a gray water valve, and we'll show you both of those here momentarily. The water heater and water pump is plugged directly into the GFI. So once you go to the electrical breaker and you turn on the top breaker to the left, that's labeled water heater and water pump. That's going to basically get you power to your water heater and water pump. The pump is essentially what's going to pump the water through the tanks, through the system. Essentially, once you have water inside the tank, you'll simply make sure the breaker's on, and then you'll come and you'll be able to cut your water on here. It's got the drains in here, so you can plug that up. It's already starting to get hot already, so that's a good sign. And then as soon as you cut off the valve for the hot or the cold, it automatically cuts the actual pump off. If for whatever reason you don't have any water in the tanks, you'll want to make sure that you cut the breaker off, because the pump will believe that there's still water in the tanks, and then it'll essentially it will burn up essentially and everything. But the same thing for the cold water, nice and cold. And then we're going to do the same thing with the hand sink. Got soap and towel dispenser here. Keys are on the top. Manual for the soap dispensers there. And the vibration that you hear is just basically the pump that's pumping it. So the only time you're going to hear that pump is when you cut on the actual water faucet. Faucets move around. Both of them have drains and everything in it there. So now we're going to go outside, and here's the water heater here and the water pump here. You never have to touch any of this stuff as long as it just stays in plugged in. If the breaker pops out or what have you, you'll just need to reset the breaker, but it's pretty simple and everything. So we're going to go outside now, and I'm going to show you where you put the water in and where you put the water, take the water out. These two keys right here are going to be for your water inlet. So you'll just take one of the keys here, you'll simply line it up right here, and you're going to turn it, and then the hole cap comes off. This is where you put your fresh water. So you'll stick your hole in here, and then it's basically going to gravity feed down into the tank. It's going to take probably like maybe 5 minutes or so, because there's some pretty large tanks on here. That'll fill up the fresh water, so you'll be good to go. And then once you fill this up and the tank is full, you'll simply just take this just like a gas cap, you'll spin it in place, hold it in place, and then you'll lock it, pull the key back out, and then essentially that locks the fresh water tank right there. We're going to go around on the other side. Your gray water. So you'll simply take this cap off right here. It's going to be a little tight when you first take it off because it's brand new. And then you'll pull the plunger. Just watch your feet. You'll need to be on a level ground. And then the water is just going to come out flowing right there essentially. And then once the gray water tank is empty, the water will stop. You'll push the plunger back down, and then you'll put the cap back on there, and then that's going to take care of the plumbing. Go ahead and pause that one. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the gas, the propane. This is your propane tank. It's a 100-pound propane tank. You can fill this up at any place that sells propane. It has a gauge on there that lets you know when it's empty, when it's full, and all that good stuff there. So what you'll do is you'll come here and you'll basically turn the tank, which is right here. And you'll just want to do a quarter of a turn, because once you do the quarter of a turn, it's right here behind the pipe. Once you do the quarter of a turn, then that's going to allow the propane to get into the complete system. And then once we go inside, we'll be able to light up all the equipment. All right. Okay. So when you're inside, you've cut the propane on your driver's side. That's where the tank is. So now the propane is inside the truck. You always want to do the propane last when you're about to start cooking, because we definitely don't want to just have propane leaking into the cab. We want to light the equipment up when you're ready to start cooking. So always do the propane very last. When you're done at night, do the propane very first, and then you'll kind of go through cleaning out the truck and so on and so forth. You'll need one of those long lighters that you light for like for like a fireplace per se or what have you. You're gonna stick it in here, and there's a pallet here, pallet here, pallet here. That lights that up right there. Now when it comes to the fryer, we'll have you basically come right here. There's a V right here, and this is where the pilot is. So essentially you're gonna hold a flame right here, and then you're gonna come here and turn this to pilot, and you'll hold that in just like an older water heater. And while you hold the pilot in, you're going to hold a flame right here. Eventually, this is going to light. This is your pilot right here. Then you're going to spin this to on, where the red dot is. And then once this is on, then you're going to control it with the temperature. So that way you can get higher flames or you can get lower flames based off of what you want to do there. When you cut this off, it's still going to leave the pilot on right here to where you can activate the flames whenever necessary until you're done at night. When you're done at night, you'll simply come here, spin it around to off where the red dot is. That shuts off the flame for the pilot and everything else. When you guys get ready to drain, you'll take this 1¼ inch valve or 1¼ inch nipple, screw it in here. You'll open this up. You'll have a 5-gallon bucket here that everything kind of drains into. And then essentially that's going to take care of draining the grease out of here. But as far as being able to operate, you'll just light the pilot, and then you'll be able to be functional there. And then when you're done at night, you'll just shut that up. When the with the charbroiler here, you'll simply just hover over here, and you can turn these on just on low, and you'll just hover over here, and then the lighter will catch all of the burners and everything. And then you'll be able to control the burners from here. So they'll always stay on until you're done at night with the propane. Once you cut the propane off, that's going to essentially cut everything off as far as all the cooking equipment is concerned. Now, last but not least, we have the steam table here. With the steam table, you take your long lighter here, and you'll hover under here, and you'll be able to catch the burners up under here. You have a medium, low, and high. So essentially, each one of these have their own individual dial to do medium, low, and high. So you'll put the clicker here, the lighter here, and you'll light these up. There's 3 of them. And then once this is lit up, then you'll be able to control it from here with the medium, low, and high. And once you cut it off, the pilots will still be lit until you cut off the propane up under the truck. Okay, go ahead and pause that. All right, so with the propane double stack oven, essentially you'll cut the unit on, and you have lights that turns on. You have the fan system here. You have the timer here, so you can be able to time whatever you're baking or whatever you're cooking in here. This temperature control is what's going to basically, you're going to dial it up, and then once the heat kicks in, it's going to say heat on. And it's basically going to do heat on until it gets up to temperature, and then this light will go off. Excuse me, when you're done at night, you'll simply just come here, you'll click that off right there. You also have cool and cook on the fan manual. You have a timer here. So once you click this off, that cuts the oven off per se. And you can also click the light off as well. You have a low and a high speed here, and that's going to operate this particular unit here. The same principle is going to be for the same down here as well. All right, so last but not least, we're going to talk about the speed dial. Speed dial basically controls your hood system fan. So you'll keep it on high in the summer months, and that's going to pull out the majority of the heat that's in the unit when it's talking about the cooking equipment. When you're into the fall and winter months, you're just going to dial it down to low or in between low and high, and then that's going to keep a lot of the heat back into here to kind of keep you guys nice and toasty. And then when you guys are done at night, you'll just spin it all the way down, and then it cuts off. And then that's basically controlling the exhaust fan that's up top. You have 2 heavy-duty exhaust fans. So that's going to basically control both of those units right there. All right, so now we're going to talk about the fire suppression system. Each one of the suppression systems have caps on them. Heaven forbid, if you ever have a fire, you'll just want to go to the very back of the truck. There is a pull station back here that we're going to capture right here. It's right behind the hot holding box. and you'll just pull this right here, and then the suppression system will dump onto the cooking equipment, and then you can go out the back door. You're going to also have 2 fire extinguishers here, which is a red for paper and a gray for your chemicals. So the gray, typically you want to mount that up under possibly right next to the water pump, and then essentially that will operate as your suppression for here. So if you ever have a fire, let's try and grab for the fire extinguisher first, and then you'll just be able to spray right here to take care of any fire problems. If it gets to be out of control, then unfortunately you're going to pull the pull station in the back and go out the back door.